Hello, all you beautiful souls. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of Operation Tango Romeo, the trauma recovery podcast for veterans, first responders, and their families. Today, we're doing horses again. So this is going to be 2 episodes in a row, which is really good because if you listen to each episode back to back, you're going to hear some of the same questions perhaps, and maybe some of the inputs, but you're going to hear a different perspective. And if you write off horses as that's not for me, well, what modality? It's not the modality, it's the carpenter sometimes. Like the carpenter, the tools, that kind of analogy. So I would encourage you to not write off any modality, to listen to the differences of different service providers, and you might just hear something that tweaks your interest and says, hey, that is for me. I've been to a couple of different horse organizations where equine assisted therapy and whatnot, very, very different experiences. So the only common denominator was the horses. And I encourage you to try different ones and to go to different and have different experiences. So today on the show, I have a brother from another mother on the show that we met because of our mutual sponsor. And Bobby, let's start there. We were just saying how helpful it was for Canadian Legacy Project to help you out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, Mark, for having us here today. And we started Red Rose Ranch Veterans Horse Camper, R3VAC, we use that acronym, as a grassroots organization. And then after that first camp, things clicked. The team clicked. Some of the instructors were like, this is as good for us as it's good for them. And I started trying to find some sponsors. Knowing nothing about writing sponsorship proposals or anything of that nature, I just started kind of pushing the word out. And Canadian Legacy Project came back, said, you know what, you're free to put in a sponsorship proposal. So I'm like, okay. So I went on the internet and I Googled sponsorship proposal, and we put one forward, and it ended up being selected. And I got a phone call on a Friday afternoon. I was driving to the horses, and it was from Dave Howard, and he says, "Hey, listen, emails are about to come, but I wanted you to know that you've been selected for sponsorship." And that was our first sponsor, and it launched us. It sparked a fire in the team, and we started going full hog on this program. And I've told Dave before at other events, and I'll tell him again, like this, I don't think that we would be where we're at right now if it wasn't for the Canadian Legacy Project giving us our first leg up. It was pretty powerful.
And they've helped me. I've been doing the show since 2019, and says so on the sign right there. And I've been just on my own dime with my own gear, using a webcam and whatnot. And it was just tough to justify spending the money that has now been spent, invested in this studio that I now have. And that came from Dave Howard and the Canadian Legacy Project. They came through for me in a big way. And even more is I have a producer now, and they're providing that producer, which is just incredible. Jessika is her name, and she's spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
Without her, I just wouldn't be able to do everything the way it's being done right now. It's just up the level so much. And it's great to know that when there's people like you or me or so many others out there busting our hump to try to do something good,
yeah,
and try to give back to our community, that there's those that have the ability to raise funds, and they see what we see, and they believe in our vision and our mission, and they just decide to support us. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that they see folks like Canadian Legacy Project have seen the passion in the services that we're providing to our fellow brothers and sisters, and they get excited about it. And we had the passion, and we had the idea, and we had the sweat equity that we wanted to do. We just need a little bit of assistance. And he opened some doors, not only with financial assistance, of course, but the networking and also the confidence for us to say, yeah, we can do this. You're right. There's tons of equine assisted learning organizations out there. Um, we like to say we're unique amongst them all because all the staff, volunteers, and instructors are either current serving military, first responders, or veterans, and that's pretty powerful, especially when we're providing the program that we do to the participants. We like to say that, hey, listen, we're a mirror image of you, and it's important for us to have the instructor cadre to be, current serving military, first responders, or veterans, so that our participants can see, wow, this is the benefit of this lifestyle. And what we've done is sorry, did you have a question?
Oh, I was just going to say that's cultural competence. It's really important to for something like this to be run by people that have walked the walk. The challenge though is if it's you have to have people that are far enough down their own healing journey, if they are themselves wounded, because if they're not far enough down their own healing journey, burnout happens, and you find conflict. You'll find conflict between the instructors and the participants. I've seen this, and that's not good. So that's the challenge, and I guess the bottom line is self-care for the facilitators. They have to pace themselves. Like for myself, this show, I can do 2 a week. That's it. I played with 3 or 4 a week, and it's too much for me. And then my family suffers. And that's the beauty of the horses, is that you're able to see the energy feedback in the horses. If you're off kilter, if you're in overwhelm, the horses always show you that. I want to talk about yourself a little bit, Bobby. Sure. Share with the audience your service.
Well, I'm still serving. I have 20 years and counting. Spent most of my service time here in Manitoba, either in Shiloh, and then a large majority of it in Ottawa. I'm in the military police and was involved in close protection duties for half my career, and the CFNAS for the other half. And then I came out here to work with the Air Force Military Police Group. So especially when I was doing close protection operations, it was very busy time. I joined the Canadian Armed Forces after 9/11. I was a conservation officer and came home from a night shift, and my roommate and I were watching TV, and I saw the second plane hit. So I had a patriotic flair, and I joined up, and as a result of that, it was going to be just go to Afghanistan and come back and continue on with my career. But I ended up having a lot of fun, met some really close friends, and the bonds and camaraderie I had were second to none. So I kept rolling. But when I was in Ottawa, I was working a lot, and I don't golf. I don't have a Harley. I don't have a fishing boat. I didn't have any other hobby or pastime. But I knew that growing up on a farm and a ranch, I always had a love of horses. So I bought a horse and a trailer, and I started riding around the Ottawa Valley area, going to different trail rides and trailheads and spending hours doing that. And then I watched a YouTube video on an organization from the US called Heroes and Horses. And that really inspired me. I kept watching. I'm thinking, man, I would like to do this one day. Mostly because the only time I wasn't thinking about work or stressed out was when my back pockets were in the saddle. And I wasn't doing anything special. I was going on trail rides, and I was disconnected, and it was me and the horse, and we were working together. And I found it very therapeutic. It helped with anxiety reduction, stress control, and goal setting. Came out to Manitoba, and I started doing some team cattle penning. It's a Western equestrian sport, and I linked up with some vets there that were doing it as well. And one night we were chatting, sitting around a fire after the event, and I told them about how awesome the lifestyle is, and I would love to teach this one day. And they said, Bobby, if you ever want to, if you ever want to do this, let's do it. I said, yeah, maybe when I retire. And I was driving home, and I said, you know what, heck with it, let's do it. So I called them up, said, if you guys are serious about it, let's run one. And the first one we did was Afghan vets for Afghan vets, just because that was our commonality. And we ran the camp in end of October, so around this time of year. Things were going well. I muckled on to a guy from 1RCHA, a veteran from 1RCHA, and him and I were working horses together. And he didn't say much. He was kind of really quiet and stoic. And I thought, man, like, this might be a one and done thing. We had breakfast. We're coming back from breakfast, and it's him and I in the truck. And he says, you know what, Bobby, this camp isn't going to make me a cowboy. He says, but I underestimated how powerful it would be to be in the wilderness, working horses with people that walk the same ground as me. And I said to him, like, you know what, you just sealed the deal for what I want to do with the rest of my life. And after that,
well, let's pause there. What do you think the secret sauce was there? So starting with the horse, what is it from your perspective about working with a horse that gets you out of your head and connected, and like, why does it work?
That's a great question. And what separates us from other programs, and all the other programs are great, they're phenomenal, but we're not a mental health facility or therapy camp. We teach horsemanship. So we got trained up through Equestrian Canada on their Western Learn to Ride levels, and we're running it like a course. And it's the first thing that when the participants come, we say, hey, listen, we're not running a therapy camp. We're going to teach you about horsemanship, with the goal of them continue on with this lifestyle for the rest of their life. So I think the secret sauce is that we say, hey, you deserve this lifestyle. You deserve to be outside in the wilderness, working with these animals. We break down the barriers of equestrian ownership and the lifestyle. And I think they look at us, all of us there, and go, if they can do it, we can do it. And they just taught us how to do it. So we teach them. I always say, I'm going to teach you which end the hay goes in on the horse and what to do with it on the other end, and everything in between. So, and they love that. They sleep in the barn loft. They use outdoor toilets. That's way better than a Blue Rocket. And they pump
way better.
Yeah, they pump their own water. And like at that first camp, I said, you know, guys, if we build this, like, do you think we should look at putting people up in hotels to make it more professional? And they said, no way. This is like being in Fort Operating Base. Like, this is awesome. So we create a camaraderie as well during the camp. We do it all through horses. So it's not about and as the camp goes on, I see their tension level decrease. And I come up to them and I'm like, hey, dude, I put my hand on their thighs, or I'm like, you can relax. Well, I am relaxed. I'm like, no, just relax. And throughout the end of the week, it's like, whew. And we'll have fires at night. We'll go over, points to sustain, points to improve. And if something comes out, it does. And if it doesn't, that's fine too. The goal of it is for them to set them up for success for the rest of their life. Because, I said to some folks, it's difficult for an adult learner to learn a new skill that they've always wanted to do, like swimming. If you haven't learned to swim by you're 25, like, probably not going to take the plunge and get some swimming lessons. Same thing with horse riding in the equestrian world. It's tough. So we give them that opportunity to teach them a new skill, and then we build an alumni after that. So if they're wherever they're at, if we can hook them up with lessons that they can take afterwards, teach them about the lease programs on horses. We show them what a basic horse trailer looks like, a barn, the tack they need. So it really is, it's meant to empower them. So I think the secret sauce is the empowerment that we give to these folks, so they can control their own destiny. It's not I went to R3BHC, it was a great program, and that was it. It's, I went to R3BHC, they taught me a basic level of horsemanship, and now 5 years later, I'm right into horses and I'm doing all this stuff.
what I'm seeing is that, and I'm still trying to flesh it out. I'm going to have a similar conversation in a week or two about arm wrestling and how that can save the world. Um, it's true. I've done a couple episodes on that, but the big thing is community, connection to each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, connection and community to those that you can really relate to, and you know, in the veteran first responder community, we have a certain type of humor
Mm-hmm.
that others just don't enjoy.
Oh yeah.
But, you know, and when you try to relax and use that humor with people that don't appreciate it, that's a sense of rejection.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just being myself and they don't like it. I'm being rejected.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why so many people that get out of the military get right back in within 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
or they end up being truck drivers, just get away from people.
Mm-hmm.
You people. And
Yeah.
it's because of that rejection. The way we conduct ourselves, the way we carry ourselves, people just don't like it
Mm-hmm.
because they don't understand it, because they're not one of us.
Yeah.
And brother, that stays with you forever. I've been out forever. I've been out for over 30 years, 31 years, 29 years I've been out. And I'm still a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
After 29 years of being out,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't leave you. You can't take it out of you. It's like that old saying, you know, you could take the man out of the army, but not the army out of the man. And it's absolutely true.
I agree.
You know, it sticks with you. So to be with folks where you just get it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a level of ability as well. Let's say I'm going to go hunting. If my hunting partner is an infantry guy,
Mm-hmm.
that's a different experience than anybody else, because we have a certain level of ability and understanding, everything from radio procedure to rifle safety, and a certain grit and determination
Mm-hmm.
that it's really tough to find.
Yeah.
You know, and there's just an intrinsic deep trust in that if shit goes sideways, you're good.
Yeah.
This person absolutely has your back and is capable of fighting off a bear if need be.
Yeah.
And when you're with other folks, you're not so sure of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so community, you know, a culturally competent community is one thing that you provide, and that is no small thing. That is a big, big deal. And then connection to nature through the horses,
Mm-hmm.
the horses, because you connect to the horses, and the horses are nature.
Absolutely.
So that connection to creation, I would call it God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being connected to the horses does connect you to the universe, to God, to nature, however you want to frame it. And that in itself is healing. And then unplugging from the buzz of this life, that this unhealthy life that we have with electronics and everything else. You're pumping your own water, you're sleeping in a barn, using an outhouse. You're connected to what we actually are instead of this mechanized being that we've become, that we're forced to improvise, adapt, and overcome in this technological era.
Yeah.
So, and that's why people like to go camping.
Sure.
You know, but you take it to a much higher level than just going camping.
Absolutely.
Does that resonate with you? I still don't feel like I'm hitting the nail on the head.
No, you absolutely are.
Go ahead.
You absolutely are. And you know what the thing about these horses is, and the program, we'll tell them, we'll say, hey, listen, like, you are back up. One lady came out to the camp. We have an all ladies camp and an all men's camp. So we segregated like that. We first started out of logistics requirements. We're like, it'd be a lot easier because they're sleeping in a barn, and using outdoor toilets. I've said it would be a lot easier logistically if we just kept it all male or all female. And so we did that. But what we found was the results were the same, but the journey was different. And we tell them, we're like, listen, we're going to teach you what you need to do to learn how to ride. This is a riding program. There's tons of residual effects for your mental, physical, and spiritual health. And we're going to teach you the program so now you can control your own anxiety, stress reduction, and goal setting. And it's without digital effects, medication, or drugs. We tell them that these horses are so sensitive, and they're pack animals, so they're looking for a leader. If you're not going to be that leader, they will be that leader. And what I mean by that is, if you're a timid person, they're going to take control. If you're overly aggressive person, they're not going to want to be around you, and they're going to run. So we teach them to either elevate their confidence, or hey, chill out your aggression, bud. And it's kind of an eye opener for them. They're like, I didn't realize that. I said, you see what you did? I said, look at you. I said, you're either super threatening, or your shoulders are in and you're walking away and you're showing your back to the horse. And they're like, this is amazing. This is amazing. It's also good for us because it's the same character traits that everyone has. So it's easier for us to pick it up. One lady came to our female camp and says, how hard can I touch this animal? Never touched a horse before. And she went from never touching a horse before. I said, you can touch as hard as you want. You ain't going to hurt it. And she went from that to going on a 3-hour trail ride. And she came back this year as a volunteer. And she's like, this changed my life. And so we asked them to provide some testimonials. So on our YouTube channel, they provided some testimonials. And the person that made the video is also a member of the Armed Forces. It was a hobby of his to make these things, and he did a phenomenal job. But that's the kind of feedback we're getting. We're like, we did this I'm interested in this. It kind of looks cool. Like, there's a lot of equine assisted learning organizations out there. And then they left going, I'm getting into this. Where can I get lessons? Oh, I signed up for lessons at this barn, and can I come back to volunteer? So I think that utilizing the horse is really important. And you know what? People use dogs for therapy and to live with them. They're intimidated by horses because of the size. But the fact of the matter is it's just a big dog, and you need a bigger crate. And then once you once you get past that, it's like, okay. But the fulfillment you get from working with a horse, because they're intelligent animals, but they have about the capacity of, I would say, an 8-year-old.
On last week's show, there was a story shared of a woman that went through this other program, and for the first time ever, she felt heard. And we unpacked that a little bit, but how powerful is that you have a 1,200-pound animal that agrees to submit to you? Doesn't have to. Doesn't have to at all, but agrees to submit to you. And I think that is why, or at least one of the mechanisms that makes equine working with horses so empowering, because you have this massive animal that's agreeing to obey you and work with you. Doesn't have to. It can buck you off or just say no, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it if they change their mind. But that's just an incredibly empowering thing.
It is, and I would say, I don't want these, including my own animals. I don't want them to obey me. I want them to work with me, because there's an old adage of breaking horses. We're going to break this horse, and there's a new way of functioning now. So you can break a horse, and they'll be subservient to you. But I think the connection is for the rider and the horse is when they start to work with each other. And then I call it, and everyone else does too on the team, taking care of you. Like, oh, that horse is really taking care of you right now.
Yeah, you don't have to beat them into submission. It's the horse whisperer stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
And in some of the work I've done with the horses, I've been able to experience that, where they choose to follow me as a pack leader. And I got 5 horses in single file following me in a figure 8.
Yeah.
Because they just see me, they just want to.
That's right.
And it's a much, much better relationship being able to do that.
Oh, big time, and in to experience that for a week is powerful, but to experience that as a lifestyle choice is incredible. And even now, I notice like the older we get, um, the easier it is for our anxiety to creep up on us and to elevate. And um, working with those animals, if I'm having a bad day before I come home, I go for a ride, and I just work on a few things, and I leave there like feeling recharged, refreshed, and being out on the ranch, like a daily. I'll run you through a daily schedule. I show up to the barn at 6 a.m. with a 30-cup coffee urn that I made hot and ready for them. I put the coffee down and I said, "Okay, I'll see you in an hour." So I give them an hour to shake out, come back around
So
7.
that that urn would be enough for myself. At least, so you must have more than one urn.
Well, it depends on the group.
Like that'd get me done.
Sometimes they go through it pretty quick, and sometimes last the whole day. But they did say the feedback that we got were like, you know what, that was like morale in a mini barrel that you delivered to them.
Yeah.
And
Does it taste as good as Haybox coffee?
oh, way better, way better. Actually, one of our sponsors out of Saskatchewan, they're called Duty Calls Coffee Company.
Oh, okay.
They just found out about us, and they reached out and they said, "Hey, listen, we want to supply coffee for your camp, and we love what you're doing." And um, they were also working with another organization, C2C for PTSD. So they created a coffee blend called
Chad Kennedy.
called Stigma Stomper is the coffee blend. So we've been using some.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, we've been using that, and after they had their fill of coffee at 7 a.m., we come back and we clean the stalls, we clean the manure, and we put in wheelbarrows and take it out to the compost pile. Then we go for breakfast, and then
Before I forget, please introduce me to these folks. We'll
sure.
see if we can do a recovery blend.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I will for sure. Great, they're great folks. So we've been really blessed by a lot of good sponsors. We had a cold brew coffee company called Sheepdog out of Winnipeg. They've been really helpful as well. So yeah, it's been great. But after breakfast, we come back and we work horses. And yes, we use Equestrian Canada standards to do our teaching, just because we want to make our program defendable. And like we put our military hats on, and hey, where's the QS and the TP, and we need to make sure that anybody can do this. If I get hit by a truck, like somebody could just, here's the orders, carry on, and
Yeah.
we roll with it. But we try to bring in things like social skills and trust and empathy and confidence and emotional awareness and problem solving into the program. So we start off with very rudimentary lessons like this is how you put a halter on, and then we progress to obstacle courses on the foot, and then we go up to tack and how to clean your tack and equipment, and we inspect the tack and equipment every morning as well before they go out. And then we ultimately get them into a saddle, size up the saddle, and then we do everything we did on the ground in the saddle, and then we take them on a long trail ride out into the area, and we finish with a camp lunch. And I bring out a friend of mine
Awesome.
who was an RCMP member from the First Nation community. He's a knowledge keeper there now. So we've incorporated his service as a first responder. And his land-based teaching into a really nice discussion. And it's really just a discussion about the horses and the land, the therapy that this lifestyle provides. And it's super empowering. That night we have, Thursday night steak night, and then Friday is a end camp ride and clean up, and it's pull pegs and out we go.
What about spouses? Can spouses participate?
So right now we want to do that. So we started off, we have the all-female camp, all-male camp, and now I think our next bound is going to be a couples camp. And
okay, but not spouses. Like for the female camp, that can't be spouses. It has to be service members.
Right now it is, yeah. So
okay,
but we're not opposed to, like, as expansion occurs. we're not opposed to all this, because one of the messages that we're sending out is like, this lifestyle is a family oriented lifestyle. You know, mom, dad, the kids all could have horses and go to these shows, and spend their weekends with each other doing that type of thing. A lot of the folks that have come on, especially like the well, actually this year we had a female camp and male camp. All of them had their children in horses and taking lessons. And for them, this was like, my child wants to bring horses home, and or to get more, and I want to be part of that. And I heard about your program, and I want to learn about it. So that was a key messaging, because we're like, well, great, now you have the base foundation. You know, you have enough knowledge just to be dangerous, but you have the base foundation to know what you don't know, but you can continue on. And it's kind of, they went over that, the hump, where they lack complete confidence in anything they do with riding. Now they can go grab their horse, they can groom their horse, they can tack their horse up, and they can start learning the intricacies of horsemanship. You know, we're a big proponent of the 10,000 hour rule. So we're like, okay, you guys got 40 hours. Now you just need, 9,600 and some odd hours left to go, right? And yeah, here you go. But that's kind of the messaging that we're pushing out.
What are some before and after stories that you can share where people are markedly different, and different how?
Hmm.
Like before and after.
Yeah, that's a great question, because I didn't know any of the folks beforehand. Of course, afterwards we have we call the R3BHC alumni, where we keep in touch. But I think what I can tell you from listening to their stories from last year's camp, that they they got into the lifestyle. They've met new friends. It's been very therapeutic for them. One person in particular said that, and she says it in the video. She goes, I took everything the system had to throw at me: doctors, medicine, programs, and that camp was the biggest significant change that she had, because I think our approach may be a bit different, where I, I'm not asking them to expose any raw feelings that they have. I'm just teaching them horses, but I'm teaching it because I want them to understand the medicinal properties of this lifestyle for their mental, physical, and spiritual sake, and they pick it up, and it's super empowering for them, because I'm not treating a symptom. I'm providing a preventative approach to mental, physical, and spiritual health, and that's really it.
The people that depend on a pill for healing, for recovery, um, I will say it 1,000 times more, and I've said it 1,000 times already, that healing is not an event. It's a lifestyle change. It's a daily routine. It's every single day, consistently doing as best as you can the right things to look after your self-care. And a pill ain't going to do that for you if you're not changing your physical activity level, your diet, your social life. If you're not taking control of these things and making sure that they serve you, recovery is going to be real tough. You might feel better for a while because of your SSRIs,
Mhm.
but they're not going to do much for you. They'll probably do more harm than good. Any of these pills that people have. But you do something like attending the R3 Veterans Horse Camp, and then you take that home with you, and you mindfully implement it all the time. And there's more than one way. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Whether you learn practicing mindfulness, meditation, cold plunge, working out, nature walks. There's this new thing called forest bathing that I want to try out. Um, Whatever it is, do it every day, at least a little. And
Mhm.
that's the only way to be okay, is to have a healthy lifestyle. And there's
Yeah.
more than one way to do it. But I think that what you offer is an opportunity to see things a little differently, to get in touch with yourself by getting in touch through nature, self-awareness, and letting people look into the mirror through the horses to see, oh, this is what needs to be done. I had a problem that I didn't even know that I had because I could see it through the horses. I can see that my anxiety level is
Mm-hmm.
high. I can see that I have a little issue with my temper and that I've been blaming everybody else for my temper.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see it through the horses and through the learning that's provided. And really, I know you're not a therapy outfit, but that's what good therapy is it provides the self-awareness so that you can increase your situational awareness about how you impact a room, about how you impact others. This is why so many of us have trouble keeping a job. We're like a grenade in the room. We don't think we are. We're just like,
Mm-hmm.
well, what's your problem? What did I do? What did I say? I didn't do anything, and we think everybody else has the problem, but it's us being the
Mm-hmm.
grenade in the room, and we don't even know we're doing it.
Yeah, and you know what? I agree with everything you said, and some of the magic that we have is, first of all, the location. It's 2 hours away from the city of Winnipeg, so it's far enough away that it's a journey, and they're not people aren't going to get in their
Hmm.
vehicles. And we set it up so that we meet everybody
North or south?
north, straight north. So we meet everybody in Winnipeg, and Selkirk Dodge Chrysler is they donated a truck for 2 weeks for us. So we're like, okay,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, and Grandview Hotel out of the airport said we'll give you guys hotel rooms so people can meet there on the Sunday night. You pick them up on Monday morning, you drive them out, and then on their way back they can have a place to stay. So just that 2 hours in the truck out to the ranch gives them ability to communicate and talk and get to know each other. Um, then while they're out there, the team that we have, it's a team of volunteers that have come back over and over again, and the chemistry we have is amazing. One of the fellas, he is on the camp staff. He was posted to Manitoba, then he got outcanned. He got posted to the U.S. He's made the journey the last 2 years, drives in his car, sleeps in his car on the way up, just so he can work the camp. And I'm like, that level of commitment, um, no money can pay for that level of commitment because these folks believe in what we're doing so much. So it's the team, we have an incredible team. I don't know how I was blessed to have this all start out, but one of the comments that we get back from our participants too is like, this is like a giant family, and we say, yeah,
Well, I'm going to
it
have to
really
hop
is.
on my motorcycle and come out and visit.
Absolutely, 100%. He'd love it. I
Is
mean,
there, is there a lot of gravel before the ranch?
the last 7 miles. Yeah,
I can do 7 miles.
last 7 miles, and it's pretty remote. Like the cell phones will only work in certain areas, and it's super quiet. The wildlife out there, like one of the fellas says, it's so quiet out here, and the stars are so bright. All I can hear is the tinnitus in my ears. And I said, can I quote you? He goes, yeah, absolutely. So it's pretty powerful. It's a powerful place, and powerful people, powerful team, and it wouldn't have been. It's a combination of all those. We don't outsource anything, so we use vernacular like "ack" and "roger that." And when we're riding, we're doing hand signals and getting everyone to stop. Well, I said, "You guys know what that means?" They're like, "Yep, roger that." I'm like, "Okay." And it works. It works really well, and we've built like that community of camaraderie around horses. So we said, listen, this place is open to you at any time of the year. Come on back, bring your families, camp out, and it's that special to us because I think that we all need a place to unplug, and by us starting the first one, it was that deal because one of the guys got blown up in Afghanistan pretty good. He was actually with Nicola Goddard, and
Yeah.
and so for him it was his daughters were into it, and he wanted to feel a bit more empowered. So I really think that we're helping people stand up on their hind feet and say, wow, I can do this, and you're teaching me a new skill, and that new skill has residual benefits. It's rather than, okay, here's Ranger, here's one of our horses, and this is what we're going to use him today for. It's all right, Mark, you're being assigned Ranger. You don't eat, sleep, or go to the bathroom until he's taken care of. Here's your equipment. Here's how you take care of it. If there's anything wrong with the equipment, you let me know, because it'll be a safety issue, and we don't want you to get hurt or the horse. And away we go. It's a pretty cool environment, and I like to say we're unique because we're teaching about horsemanship, and we're all the instructors are, like I said, mirror images of their folks. I could tell them stories of when I've had a hard day or a bad experience, and I go out and I spend some time on the land with my horse. And we also give them tips on, if you're going to get into this lifestyle, here's the areas to avoid, here's the areas that you should get into.
If people want to check you out, Bobby, how do they find you?
Well, we're on Instagram and Facebook at R3VHC. Our website is redroseranchmanitoba.com. We're gonna be updating the website. We'll get a new one, just because we really want to highlight the VHC portion, right? Like the Veterans Horse Camp portion. A lot of folks are like, well, okay, yeah, we're going out to Red Rose Ranch, and we say, well, it's Red Rose Ranch Veterans Horse Camp. Like, we really want to highlight that, and so right now it's on social media, R3VHC, and stay tuned for updates to our website. But right now, our YouTube page and our website are Red Rose Ranch Manitoba. Mostly because when we set it up, I didn't realize how popular the term Red Rose Ranch was. There's some in Arizona and all throughout the States, but the area is actually called Red Rose, Manitoba. So we thought, okay, well, that's pretty simple, Red Rose Ranch, but I guess it's a fairly popular name.
Well, in Alberta, you probably would have been called Wild Rose Ranch.
Quite possibly. Yeah, quite possibly. And that's the thing too. People say, oh, well, are you guys, folks we met, the Stand Up for Vets comedy show in Calgary there, a lot of folks were, are you whereabouts in Alberta are you? And, we tell them, we're like, hey, Alberta's great, but it doesn't have the lock-in on horses. Like, there's some horses across the country.
Yeah, well, Albertans loan them out to other provinces every now and then.
Yeah. No, I tell you, it was we've been getting some good feedback, and right now we started as a Manitoba organization, but now it's national. Like this year, we had somebody from Quebec, Ontario, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. They've all come out and made the pilgrimage to the ranch and for their ability to learn this, and everybody wants to come back and volunteer. We run the camps in the fall because that's the bugs are a lot less. The temperature is better, and it's a better time, right? Like there's less fluctuations, although you can have some bad weather in the fall, but we do it then as well. And the fact that we're all volunteers, there's only so much holidays we can take off.
Yeah, that's right.
I got one of my guys he's retired. He's a mechanic with 2 VP, and he gets like 3 weeks holidays a year, and he takes 2 of those weeks to come out to the camp. Like, if that's not
Wow.
if that's not commitment, I don't know what is. So it's
absolutely beautiful.
Pretty powerful. I'm sure you'd enjoy it, brother. Like, we set things up so that people can come out there and kind of, they're going to work their butts off, but they're working for themselves, and they're going to get a lot more out of it than they probably realize.
Thank you for joining me today, Bobby. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Mark. This is my first podcast, and I'm glad it was with you. So it's awesome.
I'll always be your first.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate it. And it was kind of fortuitous that we met. And I've been watching your podcasts quite regularly, and I got a few good ideas. Like you mentioned a book about the better brain and the food for that. So I asked for that for my birthday. I said, I want that book. I think there's some pretty powerful messaging in there. So it's thank you for the work you're doing. And I'll tell you what, us here on the other end, we really appreciate it.
There's a lot of us rowing in the same direction. And that is a good book by Dr. Bonnie Kaplan, The Better Brain. I definitely recommend it.
Right on.
All right. Please stay on the line, Bobby.
Yes, sir.
You're listening to Operation Tango Romeo, the trauma recovery podcast for veterans, first responders, and their families. If you find value in today's episode, please help save a life. Share like the sugar bear, because sharing is caring.